All right, Sophie.
Yes.
Sophie, where are you from originally? Where'd you grow up?
Brooklyn. From Brooklyn.
Brooklyn girl. And tell me about your family growing up.
Um, what do you want to know?
You had mom and dad?
Yeah, I lived with my mom and dad until 5. We moved to Brooklyn when I was 5, but we lived a few different places, bounced around. My dad's a basketball coach, so he has taken like a million different jobs since I was a baby.
How would you describe your childhood in general?
Solid. I was financially supported completely. I think I got everything I ever wanted physically, but emotionally, I struggle with mental health. I didn't know it until like 16, but
How old are
I
you now?
19.
19.
Um, yeah, I had undiagnosed bipolar 2. So looking back, I'm like, that explains so much. But as a kid, I didn't know what was going on. I was just unusually mopey. But most of the time, people saw me as like the kind of mask that I put on, like the very outgoing and social
Is
person.
the majority of your mental problems that you're bipolar, or are there other things too?
At first, I have ADHD, but at first I got diagnosed with depression, like severe depression, and they gave me antidepressants for it. And somehow the chemicals, like it goes to the wrong receptor. I don't know. The doctor was talking to me about it. I wasn't really listening, but the parts I did hear was that it was like fucking up my depression even worse.
It seems like the psych doctors, are just stabbing in the dark at what medications to prescribe.
They just throw shit out there. They're like, let's try that. And I was on so many different antidepressants for years. And I didn't know it was like making it work. Like, I'm on mood stabilizers. That's what I need to be on. It's not like depression all the time. It comes in waves.
But this is not from some childhood trauma or anything like that.
I don't know. I have memories of being molested as a child, but I don't have like full. I have some flashbacks, but I never had them as a kid. Like, that wasn't something that I just avidly talked about or even thought about. Like, it wasn't until I went to treatment for the first time at like 17 where I started having flashbacks. Because that was like the first time I was sober since I was, I don't know, 12, 11.
What did you start using at 12, 11?
Um, Nicotine. Started with the nicotine and alcohol. It was definitely alcohol first, but my parents were drinker. My mom's not so much of a drinker, but my stepdad is a heavy drinker, and so is my father. I don't know. My father figures are questionable. um,
And did alcohol lead to something else, or
for me, yeah. Eventually, I moved to Tampa during COVID, and I was smoking weed at the time. But I remember when I moved to Tampa, like, my biggest concern was finding a plug. I was like, I need to have some sort of substance. I'm not going to this place with no friends sober. That's ridiculous. You got me twisted. So I found a plug. That was my first thing. And then I was still 15, 16, and I was supposed to be a junior in high school, but I dropped out. I didn't give a fuck about school. I just got high in the bathroom all the time. I think that was also the year I started bringing like whiskey in water bottles and pouring it in my coffee. It was just nasty. Like, I don't even really like whiskey.
you just want to get drunk?
Yeah, I'm not that much of an alcohol person. When I found pills, downers were like my best friend because I just wanted to like completely remove myself from life. I just wanted to be non-existent.
Were there friends and classmates you had back then that were also into these things?
Uh, I met one friend. I went to one class. It was theater class. And I don't think I ever attended another class in full. But I met one friend. She introduced me to a bunch of other people. And that was like my in Florida. I was like, okay, now I got the connections. Fuck school. Like, I don't need it anymore. I found my friends. I found the thing I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna do drugs and
So it
party.
wasn't very common.
It was very common. I just didn't know anybody yet.
Oh, I see.
It's drugs are crazy in Florida. They are. Is the biggest issue for teenagers right now. I assume. I mean, the amount of adolescent treatment facility, like adolescent rehabs, like with ranging from 12 to 18-year-olds. Like there's 12-year-olds who have done heroin. Like shit's real. And I've seen it like in person. Like some of these, a lot of group therapy. I heard some of these wild stories. Like, oh my gosh, there's not just one to choose, but some interesting characters too. I don't even know if I feel like that might have fucked up my mental health a little bit more, like being tossed into a community of all struggling children.
Why do you think there are so many young teens that are into this kind of stuff?
I think mental health, that's got to be the number one cause. It's escaping something you can't control.
Why do you think there are so many young teens then that are struggling with mental health? Because like when I was your age, I don't remember a whole lot of my classmates and friends that were dependent on anything like this. I mean, I'm sure there were some, but not.
Was it just not your crowd?
No, I mean, I knew everybody then, so it was certain. Maybe it's more prevalent. I never got involved, but maybe it was more prevalent, more common than I thought.
It must have been. I think it's just more talked about now. Like
I also think it's more popular now.
Yeah,
more
like
common.
on social media, I self-diagnose myself all the time. I'm like, oh shit, I must have this disorder now because I have like two of the 10 symptoms, but people are just diagnosing themselves with bogus because they saw it on TikTok and they don't actually see a professional.
And they want an excuse to use what they want to use.
Yeah, it's like, yeah. I had a friend. I started doing Xanax when I was 16 in Florida. I got introduced to a girl. She was 22, so a little bit older than me, 6 years. But she had a 90-day script for Xanax, and she had severe anxiety, PTSD. She saw her boyfriend get shot a few years prior, like bled out in her arms. So I was like, oh, that makes sense. Like, yeah, you have a right to get drugs. It's okay to be an addict if you have PTSD. I didn't know. But her mom also had the same prescription, and they would take each other's pills. Like if somebody ran out, the other one was taking the pills, and by month one they'd be out. So they still got like 2 more months unmedicated. I don't think anybody actually needs Xanax. There's so many other anxiety medications.
How did your family deal with your drug problems?
So I dropped out of high school and I was allegedly going to GED classes. I went to a few of those and I said I was going to school, then I went out for the school day, did whatever, smoked a lot of weed, drank a lot of alcohol, was doing Xanax, and then I would come home, be like, okay, I just got home from school, grab a bag, and then go sleep over a friend's house for several days. I just completely ignored my parents. I wasn't engaging in any family activities, like no family dinner, and that's our thing as Italians. Everybody has big family dinners.
And you moved back from Florida to New York area?
Yeah, it's been a lot. From 16, so I started taking Xanax. My friend, when her and her mom would run out of scripts, they would go buy street Xanax, which at the time it still is, but laced with fentanyl. And I had started taking her prescription pills, but when she ran out of those, she started giving me the street ones, and those almost always had fentanyl. And like a tiny quarter would get you so fucked up. You'd be blacked out for like, I remember taking a half of a Xanax bar, fentanyl, and I passed out for like 22 hours. My mom was like checking my pulse. I don't know, there's 3 to 4 months that I just don't remember from the end of my 16th year alive and then into my 17th birthday. Oh shit. But I don't know. Drugs have given me the memory of a fucking goldfish. I went to treatment 4 days after my 17th birthday. I got Baker acted, which is like a 5150, but in Florida. I took all my Xanax. I called my brother, and I say Xanax, but they were laced pills. It was like straight up fentanyl. And I was like, yeah, I'm just taking anxiety meds that were not prescribed, like pressed by a fucking plug that I just bought it from. Like, I was delusional. I was convincing myself. And yeah, 4 days after my 17th birthday, I took what I had left of the pills, and I also had like a little pill of Molly, which was not Molly either. Like, it was meth. Like, everything's laced with like, street jugs are just, I know when old people say back in my day, like, weed was a lot stronger, or, oh no, weed was a lot less strong. Like, nothing is the same anymore. Like, weeds being laced, I guess. I've never had my weed laced. I would be glad when I was into drugs if my weed was laced with fentanyl. I'd be like, oh, free shit. But that's just how fucked up my mind was. It was anything free, any free drugs. Like, I would hang out with men just for their pills or for a place to sleep, even though I had a very comfortable home with my mom, and my dad still lived in Brooklyn. Like, I always had places to go. I just didn't want it. Like, I didn't want the help. I wanted to be isolated. I wanted to be like an independent woman, but I had no resources. I wasn't financially stable, emotionally stable. Physically, I was fucked up too. I was like 40 pounds lighter and unhealthy. I lost my ass. I turned around the mirror. I was like, where did it go? It's like, damn, I've been fucked up for so long.
What do you think was driving that mindset? You just become self-destructive, or?
Yeah, I wanted to not exist in that reality. I didn't have any future plans. I was living every day like it was my last, which I don't do anymore. I used to think it was a good thing. Like, that's like party till you drop, but no, that's, I kind of like live for tomorrow. I'm like, what am I doing tomorrow? Like, what am I gonna cook for dinner? I feel like a 40-year-old woman with kids. But I don't have kids. I'm just living. But I feel like
Well, you've been through a lot
I'm
for
so
a 19-year-old.
old. Yeah, and I've been in countless facilities. I think about 15 different rehabs, sober livings, detoxes, all those mixed in one.
Did any of them work?
Out of the 15, I think there was one. I know there was one that really helped me in Florida. And it was weird, too. It was harm reduction. So it's not like a typical rehab. Like, there's people smoking weed in the rehab. That's the only thing you can do. It's marijuana maintenance. So you can get your medical card, you can smoke weed, and stay sober off whatever else you're coming from. I don't know. But it was helpful. Synergy. It was a wake-up call. I was very isolated there from my family. My mom was still in Florida, but she was in Tampa, and I was in Lantana, so they're kind of like a little ways away from each other. It's like right in the middle of Tampa and Miami, like Fort Lauderdale, that area. Maybe a little bit closer to Miami. But I was living in a house with strangers, older people. I think I was like the youngest one for a while. But I don't know, living with adults was good and bad. At that place, it was good because I met a lot of people and I still have healthy relationships with them. But I got my shit together there.
So you got clean in Florida.
I don't even know. The last time I used fentanyl was over a year ago, but I still drink. I still smoke weed. I'm not completely sober. People are like, "Oh, you're Cali sober." I'm not sober by any means. I'm just not doing
The hardest.
pills. Yeah, and it was forced into my brain. Holy shit! These places, a lot of them forced AA. That was like their big thing. The big book thumpers, and they basically say that you can't, step one is powerless over, we admit to ourselves that we were powerless over drugs and alcohol, and I could never get past that step. I was like, am I powerless? It was always a battle, like, do I want to stop, do I not want to stop, because I was forced into these places as a kid. Like, it was never my choice.
What helped you? What thinking helped you?
I think at one point I was running away. I wanted to go to that was like the first time I wanted to go back to rehab because I was so terrified. I was in Bay Ridge, still living there, but this is about 2 years ago. I was on pills and I was back in Brooklyn living with my dad. I got kicked out of my mom's house after moving back with her after another rehab. And I was hanging out with like everybody and anybody, like anyone who would just go out with me or I could go to their house. Like, I just didn't want to be at home. And my friend was like, you just have to go. Like, it's 4:00 in the morning. Like, stop trying to go to New Jersey. Like, you don't know anybody there. Like, you're just meeting people on Tinder. Like, this is ridiculous. And I was like, no, I don't want to go home. But I had a great house. My dad drinks, which is worrisome sometimes, but it's out of my control. I can't do shit.
How much of your drug use and all that was a product of just teenage low self-worth?
I think a lot. I had no self-worth. I haven't found it until recently. Like, I didn't care about who I was sleeping with. I was selling my body for drugs, which is something I don't think I've ever admitted out loud. But I was doing that for money or for pills. I never in a million years thought that that's where I would be. I used to watch these videos. Well, I still do, but like 3 years ago, I was watching a prostitute on your channel. I was like, damn, that can never be me. Bullshit. It was me. It's me. But yeah, I just found myself in so many fucked up situations I never meant to get myself into, but that's what happens. So yeah.
Is there a part of you that's like attracted to that dangerous, destructive lifestyle?
Yeah, 100%.
Mm.
I think about it every day. I struggle. I want to self-destruct for no reason. Like I feel like I fuck things up for myself. Like things are going really well. I'm in an apprenticeship. I'm working, like saving money and planning on moving out. Um, and I'm waiting for something to go wrong. Like it hasn't been like this for ever. Like I've never been mentally stable and sober at the same time. Sober, I'm not sober, but not on drugs constantly or drinking constantly. Like it was always something. Like if I wasn't on pills, then I was doing abnormal amounts of cocaine. And what is it called? There's a chemical that cocaine and alcohol, coca ethanol, something like that. But like it's addicting, like that combination. Like once you have it together, it's like I can't have one or the other. It's like you need both. Your brain tells you that. You don't fucking need anything. But that's where my brain resided for 18 years. Oh yeah, we were talking about what kind of made it click. People always talk about having this spiritual experience, this godlike experience, but I don't believe in God. I don't really believe in anything like that. I don't know. I didn't have one of those kinds of experiences though. It was mostly trying to escape a physical problem. Like in Brooklyn, I was caught up with these crazy ass motherfuckers. I didn't know they were pimps until they were trying to pimp me out. Like this shit always happened to me. Like I got myself in the worst situations.
You're hanging out with the wrong crowd.
Yeah, like why was I hanging out with 25-year-olds like as a 16-year-old? As a 19-year-old, I wouldn't even hang out with a 16-year-old. It's weird. Like it's off-putting. It's not, there's a different maturity level. It's a little unsettling to look back at the people who were like feeding me drugs at their age, like to a 15, 16-year-old.
Do you find yourself getting mellower and maybe a little wiser now that you're of the ripe old age of 19?
Yeah. 19, feeling 42. Maybe I've gotten wiser. I've been able to articulate my feelings a lot better. Fucking 4 years of therapy. Finally got my emotions aligned with my mouth. Like I can speak what I'm fucking feeling, finally.
Is therapy helping?
Yeah, I go every week. It's eye-opening. I try to not push, but advise everyone to get therapy. Because even if you're not, like, if you don't have to, like, go through something extremely traumatic to then say, oh, I need therapy because of this. Like, everyone's got to talk to somebody. And they're, like, a third party. They have nothing to do with your life. They don't know anybody you know. There's no ties. I mean, you got to pay them. But insurance, if you don't have insurance, I don't know. That's hard. I wish things like therapy were more easily accessible to everybody.
Are you on psych medications?
I'm on mood stabilizers. Finally, I'm not like completely explosive or completely in a depressive episode. I'm in between. I still feel emotions. It's not like taking away your emotions. It's just making you more aware of how your emotions are affecting you. Oh my gosh, I really I can't wait to get out of Brooklyn. I This whole week I have not left my house. And if I did leave, I walked like to the Dunkin' Donuts or to the bagel store. I'm just like so paranoid of these people in my neighborhood coming to find me. And it's not totally justified. I mean, I've gotten death threats by this man, the one I was hanging out with, the 24, 25, mid 20s. I don't fucking know. But I got introduced to him by a friend who was my friend in high school. That friend had another friend who had a boyfriend. So it was not even like my friend's friend. It was like my friend's friend's boyfriend, like all these ties. So I didn't know him at all. And he said he was going to buy me drugs. So I hung out with him. His girlfriend was like in the front seat when I got in the car, and she was like passed out drunk. He was like, I'm just going to take her home and then we'll hang out. I was like, oh, okay. Like, you're still going to buy me the drugs, right? And yeah, obviously he wanted to drug a 16-year-old girl, like vulnerable, naive, needs something from you. So oh my God, I stupidly went back to his house, and I thought it was just going to be me and him. I just thought I was going to be doing this other girl dirty. I was like, I don't know her, but I'm going to steal her man. That's what I was thinking. I was like, oh, I'm just going to hook up with this guy. And I went inside the apartment, and before we went in, I looked at him, like before he was opening the door, I was like, don't let anything happen to me. Like, don't let anything bad happen to me. Like, I'd just taken the Xanax he bought me. And I think those were real, because I didn't, like, completely pass out. I was just not completely there. But I walked in the door, and there was 3 guys sitting on the couch. I was like, what the fuck is this? I thought it was going to be like a porn shoot. I was like, what the fuck is going on? I don't see the cameras anywhere. Am I getting punked? No, it wasn't a punk. They were just, that's just what they did. They hung out with young girls, and they, I don't know what you call it, like initiated them. Like, but that was it. Like, I never talked, I did talk to them again. I got gang raped in his apartment by these men. Oh, and they took my underwear and my pants that I was wearing, and I don't know what they did with them. Maybe they kept them as like trophies. They're fucking weird. And they showered me, like they threw me in the shower. I was like, I don't want to take a shower. I was just laying on the floor afterwards, and I was like traumatized, dissociated, like I was not there, on drugs, like all the above, and I was not having it. So they like grabbed me and physically put me in the shower, and then I fell asleep in someone's bed. I think the boyfriend of the friend's friend. I slept in his bed, and I woke up with him on top of me. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, where am I? I was hella confused in the morning. I didn't know where the fuck I was. It's like, whose bed am I in? And I see this big ass man on top of me. I'm like, oh shit, what the fuck is going on? And I realize he's like having sex with me. I was like, this ain't right.
While you're passed out.
Yeah, and I woke up to him inside me. I was just like, I was very confused. And then he finished, and then I grabbed my stuff, and I walked through the hallway, and I saw the living room, and there were just these 3 buffoons, and they were eating Popeyes, like so casually. I looked at them, I was like, okay, wow. I just walked out the door, said nothing. They let me leave. I was
Tell me the guy was wearing a condom.
shocked. I have no idea.
Hmm.
I have no idea. No clue. No clue. That was never a concern either. I have an IUD, so I'm like, that makes me invincible. But there's, yeah, fucking AIDS. Like, with the men I was in relationships with, I guess that's what you could call it, customers, whatever, they're older, like old men. And I don't know, there's a lot of young, I haven't met anyone who's my age with AIDS or HIV. Like, it just hasn't, or nobody has told me, but I'm assuming that older men are more likely to carry herpes, any kind of disease, because they have more sexual experience, unless they're a virgin. And then that's, I don't know why a virgin would be soliciting sex. Actually, that makes sense. I know why a virgin would be soliciting sex from a young girl.
Sophie, what would you say is your biggest regret?
No regrets. I feel like I wouldn't be if that question is so difficult, because obviously I want to change a lot of shit, but I would still be in that mindset. Like, I'd still be doing the same things.
You've learned from some of your mistakes?
Yeah, I'm still learning, growing, but I don't know, it's really hard to trust men. I'm on this whole, like, fuck men rampage, and then I realize, like, it's just the men who fucked me over. But I'm trying to, I can't do any of that shit right now, because I'm so focused on myself. Like, I can talk to a man for like 2 days and I will completely lose track. Like, something about relationship, I have hypersexuality, so with trauma, there's not only 2 directions, but the 2 most common directions are like cutting yourself off from any sexual activity or hypersexuality. Yeah, the complete opposite. And I went the hyper route and just started having sex with anybody and everybody and fell into some shit like that. Like, I kept ending up in these fucking situations. I was working at a smoke shop in Brooklyn, and I walked in. I had never been to the smoke shop, like never purchased anything from them. I was just like looking for a job, and that seemed like an easy job to me. So I walked in. I was looking for quick money. Wanted my pills. Wanted to get money the same day I was working. So that was my strategy. I walked in, he was like, "You're hired, come in for training tomorrow." And I was wearing like this crop top and like booty shorts. I was like, I know I'm gonna get it. I know I'm gonna get the job, because I seen the man in the window. I was like, I at that point I understood men and their desire for younger females. But he hired me on spot, and I didn't even notice any red flags, but there were a lot of them. He, like, bought me alcohol on shift and bought pills and things. His friends would come into the shop a lot, and it'd just be me working there, but he'd send his friends in to come check on me, but it was always a new friend. So I did not realize what he was doing at the time, but come to find out, that's like his whole thing. Like, he hires young girls, he lures them into this little nightcap routine. He would like take me and my friend out. My friend would come by the shop, and I was like, "Come work with me, come, it's fun." And she was like, "No, like, that guy's weird. Like, I'll drink with him, not gonna work there," because she was creeped out by him. I was not. I was like, I didn't care. Like, men already disgusted me. I was like, how much worse could this get? It got worse. I was not expecting it.
Do you think there's a chance of you getting back into the heavier drugs? I mean, not that alcohol isn't heavy, but
I could do it tomorrow. I could do it today. I'm constantly scared of slipping up, but I'm still trying to convince myself that the next time I use, I'll die. But I've taken crazy amounts of these deadly drugs, and I don't know how I'm still alive.
you haven't OD'd?
No, I think my mom thought I was gonna OD, so she like brought me to the hospital as soon as I took all my pills, and they watched me, but I was sedated. I was fighting everybody in that hospital. I fought the nurses.
You took all your pills trying to do what?
I told her that I wanted to die. Like I think I was trying to kill myself. I was so out of it. I don't even remember that. She told me this later. My mom's so cute. She kept a journal. She keeps a journal. She was like in the hospital with me, like so bad. Sophie is getting restrained currently. She just got sedated. I'm like, oh fuck, mom. Why'd you have this on paper? Come on. But it's for her sanity. I don't know. I feel so bad for like the parents that go through watching their kids, because I've seen the kids and I've been in places with them, and I've also seen the parents. Like I've been in once I turned 18, I was in like all these adult facilities. Holy shit, the stories that came with that. Men are fucking weird. That's the point. That's the just base plot of this story.
I hope that's not the most important lesson you've learned. But what would you say is the most important lesson you've learned?
Don't trust anybody. No, be cautious about who you invest your time in. Even like I don't even give people the time of day most of the time. Like I used to catcalling. I used to stop and turn around and try to see who was like talking to me, or like when people would say like, hey baby, how you doing? I'd be like, oh, I'm fine. Now I don't respond to like any of that shit. And I used to like think I owed people something. Major people pleaser. But I don't owe anybody shit.
All right, Sophie, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you.
I wish you lots of luck. You're getting better.
I am.
I hope you stay on that track.
I will.
Alcohol is not going to help you at all.
No, it's
But I
it's
don't
a
think it's about.
depressant.
I don't think it's about common sense. I think it's about self-worth.
Yeah.
And if you believe you deserve a better life, you'll do the things that will bring that about.
Yeah,
And you'll
100%.
see that alcohol or pills or whatever is just going to get in the way of that.
A lot of the kids I was talking to, they didn't see, like me, they didn't see a future. Like there was no, it was just, maybe I'll make it to 20. Won't make it to 30 though, so what's the point of going into a trade or starting school to have a career?
Yeah, no hope.
No point.
It's not a good place to be.
No, now there's reason. Hope. Whatever you want to call it. I've seen the light. I talked to God. No, I didn't. I don't believe in God.
All right, Sophie. Thank you so much.
Thank you.